E3 2021 is officially in the books, but today I don't want to talk about all the fantastic games that were shown off. Now, if we do want to talk about that, let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to dig into the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase because there was a lot there that was announced. I want to talk about this kind of recap on the Xbox Wire because there's a very interesting tidbit that a lot of people have been discussing, and that is effectively that you don't really need an Xbox Series X or a Series S to play next generation games. Okay, so if you want the full next generation experience, you will need an Xbox Series X or a Series S or a gaming PC. That is pretty much where you are going to be getting the best of the best when it comes to what Microsoft has to offer in the world of Xbox. But for those that are still on Xbox One, you are not left out in the cold. Will Tuttle, Xbox Wire editor-in-chief, writes, quote, "For the millions of people who play on Xbox One consoles today, we are looking forward to sharing more about how we will bring many of these next-gen games, such as Microsoft Flight Simulator, to your console through Xbox Cloud Gaming, just like we do with mobile devices, tablets, and browsers." This is not to take away from the power and the value of the Xbox Series X and S, and the best comparison that I can think of in my mind is to think about how Control plays on the Nintendo Switch, or how Guardians of the Galaxy will play on the Nintendo Switch. Because while these games are technically on this hardware, it really does come down to the fact that there are versions of these games running in the cloud being streamed to this hardware. So you will have occasionally a lower resolution. You will have occasionally some lackluster gameplay performance, maybe some lag whenever you're moving around your character with the thumbsticks. It's that kind of experience that you get through Xbox Cloud Gaming because of the sacrifice you're making to not invest in having that game locally stored on hardware that you own. Now, with that being said, it's still going to be fantastic to see the lifespan of the Xbox One elongated, and it's interesting to consider how they are combining the power the Xbox One already has with the power of the cloud, and with that cloud comes the need for Xbox Series X architecture. According to Jeff Grubb on Twitter, quote, "From what I've heard, the plan is to get the servers upgraded to Xbox Series X. xCloud is currently One S this year, and then xCloud will come to Xbox One." That is integral, because if you try and run Starfield on an Xbox One S server, it's not going to run because the game isn't built for the Xbox One. They have to upgrade to this next generation performance to allow this next generation experience to continue in the cloud. That's why right now you see no next generation games on Xbox Cloud Gaming. It's just Xbox One stuff, because effectively you're just streaming an Xbox One. That's what cloud gaming is at this time. So with all of that being said, what does the future look like for Xbox? Series X and Series S are still their flagship experiences that they want players to be in on. Microsoft has reiterated they are focused on creating next generation hardware. It's already in development. A successor to the Xbox Series X and S is in the works. But on top of that, there's also a very heavy focus on cloud gaming. You have streaming sticks akin to a Fire Stick or a Roku that are currently in development, and on top of that, partnerships with TV manufacturers that bring Xbox directly into the television itself. Microsoft, I suppose you could say, has their head in the clouds. Ultimately, Microsoft's long play comes down to accessibility. Whether you're playing through the cloud on an Xbox Series X or an S, on an Xbox One or a gaming PC, they want you in their ecosystem, and they're going to do everything it takes to get you invested in that ecosystem. Because I am a case study. I love PlayStation. I've always been a PlayStation guy, but they bring so much value through Game Pass and through very solid and powerful hardware that the Series X has me convinced it is my primary platform, and a lot of people are starting to make that switch as well. In the comment section down below, let me know what you think about the cloud being such a big part of the future of Xbox. And more importantly, do you think that the Xbox One having a longer lifespan through the power of the cloud is going to impact the sales and the reception of the Xbox Series X and S? In my opinion, it shouldn't have that kind of impact because you will still have a better experience on Series X and Series S hardware. But on the other hand, if I was somebody who still had an Xbox One and played on it on a regular basis, it might push back my timeline for upgrading to a next generation console or making any kind of move, because I still have access to the majority of the biggest new games assuming that's the kind of support Microsoft gives it long term. But anyways, that's it for me today. Thank you guys for checking out this video, and I'll see you on the next one.